Welcome, everybody, to Everyday Ethics. I'm your host, Michael Liebowitz, and my guest host, the lovely Persephone, is here as well. And we, of course, welcome you all here. And I forgot to share this episode because I'm a schmuck. I'm going to do so right now, and hopefully, we'll get more viewers than what we currently have. So, Persephone, why don't you tell them what we're going to be discussing today?
So we got a very interesting question submitted on the website the other day, which is what is the difference between just and fair? And that's an interesting question by itself, but they also said specifically as it relates to forgiveness, why is it just to forgive? So we're going to be discussing the difference between justice and fairness.
And apply them to forgiveness.
Specifically to forgiveness, yes.
All right. So that's a lot. So in preparation for that, I said, hi, Kathy. Oh, and since Persephone forgot to tell you, I'll do it. We love super chats and super stickers on this show. Just so everybody knows, they're always appreciated, especially from a poor son of a gun like myself. So let me get over here. Persephone, why are you laughing?
Because I live in a third world country.
Yeah, but you're very wealthy.
Don't let Michael fool you guys. I'm not.
Look, there's no doubt about it. You're not in Rosie Ginsburg territory.
No, I can't stack my gold bars, unfortunately. I'm not like Mark. I don't have a private jet.
Okay. I just sent it to Mark. Now everything is well with the universe. And Kathy Cassio with the $4.99 super sticker. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kathy.
So I got to tell you that I sent you two articles in relation to this topic, and the two articles really sucked from my perspective.
Yes.
For one thing, they didn't do much to differentiate the two, but for another, they were very collectivist.
Yes.
We think of justice and fairness is, when everybody gets the same thing, when everybody doesn't, it's all very just collectivist in language and very woke. For lack of a better terminology.
Also, they one of them did reference cunt, which that's always a cunt.
All right. I'm trying to find okay. So I liked Grok. So I in addition to the two articles, I also asked both Grok and ChatGPT to distinguish these two. So according to Grok, fairness and justice are related but distinct. Fairness centers on impartiality, consistency, and equality of process, where justice is broader and more substantive, focusing on what is right, deserved, or appropriate in light of merits, needs, contributions, and harm. What I liked about that is it seemed that they, according to Grok, fairness is more about the process. Was it fair in how we got here? Were the rules of the game fair? Were the two people that came, that were competing, given their equal, a fair shake? Whereas justice has to do more with outcomes, with what we give to people, what we grant to people as a result of what they are doing or what they have done. I'm not convinced that there's a strong sort of separation between the two concepts after reading everything I've read, but I do like that idea that Grok is talking about in terms of process versus outcomes and justice being a more broadly moral concept. What say you?
Yeah, which is very similar to when we sort of discussed this briefly yesterday. When I just Googled what is the difference between just and fair, they said justice is the how and fair is the why. And I thought that was very interesting. So that's very similar to what Grok says.
Now, when it comes to, I like this, opportunity and outcomes, fairness, everyone starts the race at the same time with the same rules. But then, see, even Grok goes woke on me. Justice means providing ramps or starting line adjustments for those with disabilities so the outcome better reflects genuine merit or need. It's
Yeah.
like for social policy example, affirmative action policies may violate strict fairness but are defended as just. So once they get into that, it seems like the social justice, or the left wing concept of justice and fairness, which actually isn't
Isn't
just and
it
isn't
isn't
fair, is now sort of baked in.
Yeah. In the one article, they specifically said it's fair for there to be penalties on people who no, they didn't use the word penalties. I can't remember the exact phrasing, but they said it's fair that there are more penalties on people who earn more and more like assistance for people who earn less. And I'm like, is that fair though? Is
No.
that but that's just how they phrased it. Obviously, it's fair that the people who have less get more assistance, and I'm like, well, how is that fair? Because
Yeah.
it actually doesn't make sense if you put any thought into it.
So we got a 99 cent super sticker that's very appreciated from FF Mormani. Thank you very much. What you're referring to, where it is, I want to find it exactly. So one of the, let's see.
So while you're looking for that, I also asked AI, but I asked Claude. And Claude says use just when you're evaluating what someone deserves based on merit, character, and actual behavior. Use fair when you're talking about consistent applications of rules or standards in context where that consistency matters, contracts, competitions, and legal procedures.
So that's again the process versus substance thing. So that could be good. So chat says justice is about objective standards. It asks, what do the rules, rights, or moral principles require? Justice is impersonal, aims for consistency, predictability, and legitimacy. If two people commit the same offense under the same law, justice says they should receive the same judgment, regardless of sympathy, hardship, or popularity. Justice is forward-looking in a social sense.
This
Go ahead.
This is why I prefer Claude. So Claude says the concepts overlap. A just outcome is often fair in the sense of being properly applied, but fairness gets misused to smuggle in egalitarian premises where merit-based evaluation is what is actually required.
Right. And this actually says, and this might be the smuggling, fairness asks, given the real world circumstances, does this outcome feel proportionate or reasonable? It's sensitive to context, intent, disadvantage, unequal starting points, and consequences. I think you are correct. I think that Claude is good. I got to get me some Claude. But this says here, justice without fairness, a zero tolerance school policy expels two students for fighting, even though was defending himself. See, that to me, that's not justice. You're not giving them what they deserve. When you punish somebody for defending himself, you are not granting that person what that person deserves. This here says a clean takeaway line for the audience. Justice is about applying the rule correctly. Fairness is about whether the rule fits the situation. I didn't like that, and I actually like what you said in regard to Claude better. So, how do I get Claude? Is the first question I have.
So you were on the Capitalist Corner today. You were talking about Anthropic. Anthropic is the people who make Claude. So
it doesn't tell me how I get it though, Persephone.
You go to www. Well, you don't have to just type in Claude, CLAUDE.ai.
And is it free like chat?
There is a free option.
All right,
but
good.
There's also
no name says life is unfair. I don't like that. I mean, I've said it. I certainly think I know what you mean, but I think that people can be fair or unfair. Life, I just think is life. It is what it is.
Why do you say life is unfair? What specifically makes you say life is unfair?
What makes me say it?
No, not you. No name.
Oh, I would say like let me see, and you tell me if I'm correct. No name of E7 about this is that in life, two people, two people can work. One person can work very hard, and the other can be a lazy slouch. And the lazy slouch gets a great reward. That would be, you could say, well, it's unfair. Or some people are born into poverty, some people are born wealthy. But Jim is correct. Only conscious beings can be fair or unfair. It's how we're treating people. I'll give an example. This asshole, Andrew Wilson. I'm sure a lot of people in the audience have heard of him. Well, he was just on, was what got on Joe Rogan. Getting on Joe Rogan gives this guy, it will expand his audience massively. The guy's a complete dick. He's not a rational person, but now his audience will grow. So somebody might say, well, that's not fair. Life's not fair. But in reality, if anybody's being unfair, maybe Joe Rogan is, maybe the people that do the selection process are. I don't know, because I don't know their criteria of what they're going by or whatever. I'm just saying that sometimes it can seem, or it can actually be, that unethical people get ahead. People that are not working very hard get rewarded. But that means that if it is indeed an injustice or an unfairness, these are people that are being unfair, not life.
I don't like life is unfair, because I'm going to be kind of controversial maybe. I feel like people use life is unfair as a way of sort of not taking accountability for what they're willing, like how much work they're willing to put in, or they're comparing themselves to other people, which I don't think is good for your mental health. To say, well, this person is here and I'm this person's over there and I'm only over here, and like, why should I even bother to put in the work? Life is so unfair. Like, why should I even try? Because life is just unfair. So I don't like the phrasing. I feel like it's just a way of
Of what?
abdicating responsibility for your own life.
All right. Well, it seems I've gotten myself this app, Chat by AI Assistant Chat Prime. Is that what I'm supposed to be getting?
No,
No?
no, I'm just gonna send you the link.
Okay. Jim says nature is indifferent. Kids getting cancer is just tragic. It is. No, so I should get rid of this app now, I guess.
Yeah.
Gotta go back here. All right. So you want now, I'm curious to think. Jim Valiant is in the audience, and I'm curious what Jim thinks is the what's the word I'm looking for? What's the difference between justice and fairness? And I'm very interested in Persephone, how these concepts, or how these how they apply to forgiveness.
Okay. Give me 2 seconds so I can find. Good words. Go back. Words. So I'm going to go back to Claude, because I thought Claude was good here. So
I'm loving this AI stuff, by the way. Some people, they don't like it and they complain and they think it's going to take jobs. And some people say that it's inaccurate, this and that. I find these things to be very helpful. People may say, well, they can be inaccurate, but any source that I go to can be inaccurate.
So, not to derail the conversation, the very interesting conversation that we're having about fairness, and I use a lot of AI for a lot of different reasons, and it is a useful source. It is a useful tool. It is very dangerous in the hands of people who don't know how to use it and don't think about whether they need to fact check, because they just go, well, if AI said it, then it must be true. And I know, because I've seen it, that number one, AI can be wrong. And if you don't think enough to double check what the AI says, then you can go around spouting inaccurate information because ChatGPT told you or Grok told you. They are capable, and they have done it, of completely manufacturing quotes out of thin air and then citing them as real quotes.
Right.
It can hallucinate. That's a known phenomenon
But
of
that can happen with everything,
it's
right? You could
as
go
long
get a
as
bad quote from any source.
you are AI is not a good therapist. I'm just putting that out there. Um, we spoke the other day about fact checking, and I think that whenever you see information anywhere, you need to fact check and make sure that there's multiple sources. But AI is a great tool when you use it correctly, when you use it as sort of, a starting point for research. If you need a quick answer, then it's great. But I mean,
Okay.
there bias also does exist within the different tools, within the different platforms, Grok and ChatGPT and Claude. If you ask them like a specific ethical question, some of like depending on the question, you will sometimes immediately see bias within the answer.
Answer. So
Answer.
as this, if we apply this to forgiveness, I'm not seeing a grand difference between justice and fairness, but I think Jim is right that fairness is more focused on process. So you might say that, if somebody didn't give me the opportunity to prove myself, to earn forgiveness, I suppose you could say that that's not fair, that they simply won't examine the evidence. And as a result, they would create an injustice in not forgiving a person. But someone might also say that it's not fair even to ask somebody to allow you to, you have no right, for instance, to ask for forgiveness because the harm was so bad. So, but I still stand by it in the case of where the concept is applicable, where the harm isn't irreparable. To not grant forgiveness to a person who has absolutely earned it would be an injustice. That is my take still on the forgiveness question.
So, forgiveness is about justice because it requires evaluating whether someone deserves to be released from the consequences of their wrong. Then it goes on, framing forgiveness as fairness leads to nonsense, like everyone deserves a second chance, equality based, not merit based. It's only fair to forgive, which is obligation, not judgment. I forgave X, so I should forgive Y, treating different offenses uniformly. So it is it is justice.
Persephone does not have a British accent. She has a South African accent.
We were colonized by the British, I guess.
So
Well,
it's like part Dutch, part African, part British.
yeah, basically. There's a
I
lot of
wish
Dutch influence.
I really though I don't know. And Persephone has a great article coming out, or a blog, I guess it's called, on the topic of forgiveness. So once it's released, I really recommend reading it. Um, I'm loving it. I'm just about done, Persephone, by the way. I'll finish right when we finish this. I'll finish that, and I'll tell you. There's only one slight change I'd ask you to make, and it's stylistic. It's not in terms of your argument. I think it was great, but we should be practicing justice, like we should be practicing all of the virtues and all the things that we talk about for ourselves. I understand that justice is a relational concept in regards to other people and giving them what they deserve, but the reason we want to do that is because it's in our own interest, just like being productive is in our own interest, just like being independent and honest are in our own interest, just like having integrity is in our own interest, and practicing pride is in our own interest. Being just is in our own interest. That's why we want to do it. That's why we want to give people what they deserve. And that's why we want to forgive those that have earned it.
Yeah. It just makes me think another thing that I didn't like in those two articles that you sent is a lot of how they frame fairness is just about feelings, which I don't think
Yeah.
is a good measure of things. I don't think, well, I personally feel that this is unfair. That's not based in reality.
Well, yeah, when they all think, yeah, they got into there's different people think of these things differently, which is not really relevant. Reality is what matters, not how you feel about it, not how you might happen to be thinking about it. It matters if you have an objective standard, have evaluated a situation related to that objective standard, and come to a rational conclusion.
Actually, one of the things that they said was what is fair to one person might not be fair to another. But then there's no actual standard for what is fair. There's a standard for what is just. But if you're basing this on, well, what's fair to one isn't fair to the other, then there's not really a standard for that. That's just, well, I feel this isn't fair.
There's some great quotes here from Leonard Peikoff.
You muted yourself. Michael, you muted yourself.
I hit this chord. I'm going to get a new mic. I'm going to set myself to task to get a new microphone with a new cord. This mic, I don't know. It's 3 years old. I've had this microphone. Is that too long?
No, it depends, but I mean, it depends on which specific microphone it is, what the quality is. I mean, it's a Blue Yeti.
This is a high quality mic, but I don't know. But anyway, so you want to moral judgment distinguishes men who choose to recognize reality from the men who choose to evade it. Such knowledge is necessary on practical grounds in order to plan one's actions and protect one's interests. That's vital, right? We have to know people's character Yeah, see this, I think from moving around a lot, I've screwed up the cord, and that's messing things up. But I do want to, there's a
Yeah,
go ahead.
Kathy Cassio says fair can be an opinion, which I feel like that's pretty accurate. Fair does seem like an opinion more than a standard.
I want to find a great quote here. And I cannot find it. Oh, right here. Let me see. What counts in life are the men who support life, right? Now, here's a very big key to justice, because we often think about it as being a sort of, it's something that's meted out to wrongdoers. But here, Leonard Peikoff, and I think he's spot on, says it is important to tell Kant that he has rejected reality and is wrong. It is more important that Aristotle find someone who understands that he has recognized reality and is right. It is important to condemn the school that abuses a child's mind. It is more important to praise the teacher or the mother who, despite such schools, manages to bring up a child as a rational being. The point is, it's more important to praise the good and to reward the good than it is to punish the wrongdoers. Subby says, I need a computer for work and one for podcasts. Yes, maybe I do. Maybe I need a better mic, and maybe I need a better studio. The problem is I make very little money, and all this stuff is very expensive. So we make do with what we have. It doesn't mean life is unfair, right? It just means that I've got what I got. You go to war with the army that you have. And so here we are. And I think we do a damn good job for under the circumstances. I'm not very good with cords. I hate cords. I hate wires. Prison is full of cords and wires, and you always get tangled up in these things. You want to know why?
I do.
Okay, so you have a television that's plugged in, right? But in order to watch the television, because there's no volume, you have to plug in your headphones. the headphone wire. Now you're way back, so the headphone wire is long. Now you turn this way, you turn that way. It starts tugging on things. You mess up your socket that you're plugging into. Haha. €2 for a new microphone. Thank you, No Name. Very much appreciated. But yeah, so you've got that. And when you're listening to your radio, same thing. You've got to plug in your headphones. So you've got cords there. You might need a headphone extension. You've got the TV needs to be plugged into the antenna. So there's another cord. And these things are all over the place. And they're all crossing around you while you're trying to lay down.
So the goal now is to get you a Bluetooth microphone and Bluetooth headphones so that you don't have to use wires.
Really?
Yes.
And these are good?
Yes.
Are they more expensive?
They can be, but I mean, they can also be cheaper. It depends on the brand and it depends on a lot of things.
I'm going to go out tonight and take a peek. I'm going to take a look tonight at this stuff. That's what I'm going to do.
I have a pair of basically these same headphones, except they're Bluetooth, so they don't have the wire, which I use when I'm doing other things.
All right. Well, that's a good goal. I'm going to go take a look at these Bluetooth microphones and headphones today, but they might not be great for podcasts. I got to find that out.
Yeah, I'll also do some research.
Oh, right.
Also, yes, I agree. To get matching cat ear headphones.
The wires, sometimes they are to blame, because if I hit the wire that's connected to the headphones, it mutes on screen. So that's what that happens. So if I'm reaching for something and I trip this, like, look.
And now it's not going to do it. Yeah, there it goes.
Yes. So that happens quite frequently. And plus I've hit this button on the microphone so many times that I don't. $450 for headphones, Subby says. That sounds like way expensive.
That's what?
Huh?
What's happening? $450 is way too expensive to pay for headphones. That's a ridiculous price.
All right. Well, we've derailed the discussion to address my technical inefficiencies, but nevertheless, I think we have covered that fairness primarily applies to process, whereas justice applies to the end and what you give people. Fairness is frequently has concepts of equality and egalitarian smuggled in, although they are smuggled and not necessarily part of the concept. But we do need a moral standard to evaluate these things, and that's how we arrive at our objective judgments. And as applies to forgiveness, it is just to forgive someone who has indeed earned it, like it is just to give people what they earn in general.
Yeah. So I think fairness gets, here's what Claude says. The problem is that fairness gets weaponized or corrupted.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah. People use that's not fair as emotional manipulation. Fairness gets conflated with equality of outcome rather than equality of process. Appeals to fairness can be used to avoid merit-based judgments. So I think that's kind of true. People do use that's not fair. Life's not fair.
How come they don't say life's not just? People generally, well, I'm going to say generally, a lot of people dislike justice. They don't like the idea of people getting what they deserve, whether it be people earning a lot of money, they become envious of that, or sometimes when bad people are punished, they don't like that. They think it's unfair because these guys maybe had a rough childhood or whatever. All right, look, we're going to be back tomorrow. Thank you all for the super chats and super stickers and for joining in the discussion. We will be back tomorrow with a great topic. I don't know what it is yet, but I'll think of something. And we can't wait. Persephone, do you have anything to tell them before we go?
Don't forget that you can submit your questions and with your name or anonymously on the Capitalist Corner website. And make sure to join the Everyday Ethics Patreon, because we've got some exciting things that are going to be happening there. And that's
All right. Well, until tomorrow, be ethical.